Point of order, Chair. Chair, when that, when we were, Chairman, when we were taking the vaccines,
Yes.
there were many vaccines. There was AstraZeneca, there was this one and others.
Pfizer,
Johnson & Johnson. Chairman, we were in the country here. At that time, you know, people were really looking for vaccines to use.
Desperately.
The day the current president, who was then the deputy president, got a jab in the afternoon, in the evening, a press statement came out saying that thing is banned in our country. That's the truth of the matter. That's the truth of the matter.
Mr. Chairman, I cannot recall the events as they followed, if indeed that is the way they followed. But I repeat my position. We could only use a vaccine approved by the World Health Organization.
Go on with the others. I'm sure you know.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, the issue of mitigating circumstances, I think that were raised by Mishi, the issue of what do we do when there are droughts and then there is flooding that happens. I'll come back to the others as well. You know, I agree with her that, Honorable Chairman, that the issue of drought mitigation is critical. And it has been there a long time. We all know about Budalangi, and we know other areas in the coast. And season after season, the discussion is the same. And what I would like to commit myself to, Mr. Chairman, is working with the ministries involved. As you are aware, the Ministry of Irrigation, the Ministry of Water is charged with the dam, the areas of matters to do with the damming. But I also want to involve the county governments in this matter, because the issue of acceptability, for example, the involvement of the county governments with the extension farmers, because in Schedule 4, extension farmers that Honorable Emase raised, extension farmers are actually the job of the county government. My job is to ensure that we fight this fight in terms of training, in terms of budgeting and funding, so that we have got these people. And I would like to refer to the matter that you referred, which you say that this House is the one that allocates budgets, and to say that in spite of that, we can also predicate some of these things on what Honorable Naisura had raised on the issue of donors. This is one of the areas that we could try very hard to work with our funders and with our donors in terms of the extension farmers, so that in mitigating the issues that have been raised, the conditions and challenges that Honorable Michi has raised, ensuring that we have got the proper crops to use during drought, ensuring that we have got the correct livestock to use, ensuring that diseases don't start affecting our livestock just because there was flooding, going on. I think that is a job that will ably be done by extension people. I think they are as crucial as Mheshimiwa Wanyonyi had raised. And I'm going to work very hard with the county governments to ensure that extension farmers, but also working concurrently with the ministries involved in dam building, such as Ministry of Water and irrigation. And I think that, Mr. Chairman, the other involvement is also the committees of parliament. The committees of parliament on agriculture, the committees of parliament on health, on water and cooperatives. I think sometimes it is also good for us to have discussions together with them. And I propose to also engage them so that we can discuss budgeting and budget allocations also here, together obviously with the budget committee. Mr. Chairman, yes, Honorable Michi spoke about the job, the aspect of job creation in agriculture. And I think that sometimes we also miss opportunities of job creation in agriculture. For example, we are talking about fertilizer subsidies. And we have got companies in this country that can actually make fertilizers. Away from the coast, there are some companies in the coast. And it is true that if we structure the subsidies properly, it is possible that these companies that make fertilizers can be funded or can be part of the subsidy movement so that they too can create jobs. I think whatever we do at whatever time we do it, we need to ensure that any opportunity to create a job is not lost, because part of the challenge we are having with our youth is actually that job aspect of job creation. And I think I alluded to the issue of disease, disease management. Again, research on these issues is going to assist us a lot on disease management. But I think that it is better to use preventive measures, ensuring that the diseases don't occur in the first place, rather than curative measures that we have got to deal with after the event has taken place. On the issue of sugar and the sugar bill, yes, I'm aware that the sugar bill has gone through, and I'm also aware that we produced this year, a large quantity, in perhaps the highest quantity, a large quantity of sugar, which actually might save us from importing sugar this year. And I think that is a fantastic development, but it must not be at the cost of the farmer. It cannot be at the cost of the farmer, because I think we should understand that the subsidy to the farmer is not a subsidy to the farmer per se. It is only a subsidy to the farmer directly. It is indirectly a subsidy to the consumer, because it is the
Sugar Act nominee is awaiting if you are approved to promulgate regulations
I'm aware of that, Mr. Chairman.
that you are now delving into.
Yes, I'm aware of that, Mr. Chairman. Yes. And that's what I alluded to. And I think that the regulations will be done in the fastest possible time.
That's what we'll deal with, what Mary Massey is talking about. Yes,
Chairman,
Sharia, PPPs.
He's not even answered my cartels and fake fertilizer.
Mr. Chairman, on the issue of the PPP, I'll come back to Mira. On the issue of the PPP, Mr. Chairman, usually the problem is not the private players in the game. Usually, the problem in trying to craft a private-public partnership, in my opinion, lies, the fault lies with the public sector, not the private sector. The private sector has got a number of things that they normally demand if they are going to put their money anywhere. One of them is very quick decisions. They want us to make this decision about their investment quickly. In the past, I think we should own up as government that we have created so much bureaucracy around the issue of PPP that a person starting the PPP process usually at some point just gives up and goes. I think that one of the entry points for us is to reduce the bureaucracy as much as we can, particularly in the agricultural sector. There are people who express interests to come and lease land and grow, say, for example, rice, all right? And we put roadblocks to them, and we put so many conditions to them that eventually, by the end of the day, they say, if I go to Rwanda, I'll get free land and start this job tomorrow. And they leave. So we are losing a lot of investments, because of our own bureaucracy and the conditionalities that we are using, that we are putting on the private sector people. Conditions that sometimes are official conditions, and conditions sometimes which are suspect. So I agree with you that we must fight more, we must reduce our bureaucracy, and we must be more willing. It should be an objective to bring the people in. It should be our objective to fight for investments to come in, not to put roadblocks for the investors. On the issue of the cartels, as Honorable Dawood raised, and what you are referring to, I think, Honorable Member, is a criminal issue. It's not a policy issue. You are referring to a criminal activity that is clearly going on someplace. You said at the airport, that is clearly going on at JKIA. And I think this is the only thing we can, you and I, is to bring this thing to the attention of investigators. I will do my part in terms of prosecuting that issue and ensuring that through AFA, through the organizations that are in the Ministry of Agriculture, I will ensure and fight to make sure that we unravel any of those practices that might be going on. But clearly, Mr. Chairman, what we are discussing here is a criminal activity and a criminal gang that is operating at JKIA, and it should be referred, in fact, to the police and investigating arms of the government. And I can tell you that that is not something that we are going to just stand by and watch the Mira farmers, get punished for nothing.
Okay. Yes, Junet?
Mr. Speaker, just still on the issue of sugar. Honorable nominee, you can see there's a problem in the sugar industry. And stories after stories have been happening for many years, how the sugar sector will be revived. But there's a program the government has started, and they have done well now, I can see in Mumias, the leasing program, and it is bearing results. What are your thoughts on that? Because I come from a sugar growing area. I want to see what your I want to hear what your thoughts are on that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I agree with the Honorable Junet that part of the problem, obviously in the sugar industry, I'm speaking very quickly on these issues, because as you can see the time aspect.
Your time is up, actually.
Yes, absolutely. I want to say, Mr. Chairman, that the issue that we want to address, and it is good that the Chairman has pointed out that the bill, is just waiting for the aggression. Increasing efficiency or production is part of the solutions that Honorable Emase was raising. Because if you increase efficiency and you reduce the cost of production, then automatically that wastage that was happening within that structure would go to the farmer. It goes without saying. And it is clear, anybody who has been following that sugar sector issue is clear. With the kind of debt write-offs that we have done as a government, it means that you can reduce that burden a little bit. If we then get licensees, these people who want to work with, who want to partner, the DCs who want to work, who want to work with the sugar sector, whether it is, especially the government-owned mills, if they want to come to us, and the farmers are in agreement, and the caucus within this parliament is in agreement that that's the way to go, in order for us to create efficiency in the sugar sector, by all means, that's what we should do.
Thank you, Honorable
Dawood,
Speaker.
you've had more than your fair share.
Yeah.
Which one now?
Mukami?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me first declare that I'm the county MP of the nominee. Honorable Speaker, we have a very serious problem in the pyrethrum sector. Right now, I've received a message from a farmer. They are saying for the last 3 months, they have not received the money after delivering the pyrethrum, and yet, even the workers have not been paid for 2 months. So, Waziri, I would like to hear what you are going to do about that and the measures you are going to take to make sure that we avoid such delays. The other thing is about the dairy farmers. How will you institute reforms in the dairy, tea, and coffee sectors to boost productivity? Thank you.
Thank you. Russell? Dido Russell?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Honorable Mutahi, the objective of the national livestock vaccination is to strengthen disease control and surveillance to create a disease-free zone in Kenya, for Kenya to access international markets and expand the livestock export market. If we go by what you said, that a farmer can be given choice whether to vaccinate his cow or goat, then we are unlikely to achieve this objective. Are you likely to stand by what you have said, or you are likely to change your mind if the House approves your nomination? Secondly, it is on food security.
Thank you, Russell. I was going to ask him the same question.
On food security, I really want to hear from you. 20% of Kenya is the only arable land available for food production. And 80% is ASAL, arid and semi-arid land. This is a debate since independence. And you could be the 20th or the 30th Minister for Agriculture. If the House approves your nomination, I want to repeat that again. What is it that you are likely to do? Because food is expensive today in Kenya. Production of it is expensive. And more importantly, it's because of the scale of production that is low. So in a sense, food must be expensive. As the nominee for the Ministry of Agriculture, what is it that you are likely to do so that we expand the envelope of agriculture food production? And at the same time, what is it that you are likely to do so that there is incentive for farmers to actually feel that, yes, I can produce more maize, I can produce more potatoes? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Mule?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My concern is what he began with, that is the marketing. And I want to put it clear to you that the country faces challenges in marketing, leakages, and distribution of produce, especially from the local farmers and small farmers, to brokers who take advantage of the fragmented distribution chain to enrich themselves. What do you intend to do to improve the domestic market links and information systems within the market? And last, Mr. Speaker, your predecessor sat there, and I asked him about the tea issue in Mombasa. And he promised that committee, once he's approved, he'll deal with the issue within weeks. Up to today, maybe that's why he has been deployed to be an ambassador. Up to today, we are still talking about tea stuck in Mombasa. And when Mwanainji, Wanjiku, Kinuthia, who is planting tomatoes, yet we still have influx of products from the neighboring countries within. And yet the cost of those products at the market are cheaper than the Kenyan produced products. And this is across board. That is tomatoes, cabbage, maize, onions, and everything. And you need to spur that growth of productivity at that level. What are you going to do if you are approved by the House? And putting in mind, we were given a promise by your predecessor a month or so, nothing has happened. 2 years down the line.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I want first to start with admitting that the pyrethrum sector that Honorable Mokami referred to is in a mess. To put it any other way, would be to do the proverbial ostrich, thing and bury my head to the ground. And the only thing I can say is, broadly speaking, it is an area I intend to sit with the industry itself, the entire industry, and unravel whatever has been bedeviling it since almost independence. Since the Americans got out who are buying this pyrethrum of ours, we have never quite recovered in the pyrethrum sector. And all I can say is that I will need time to sit with them so that we can resolve whatever issues exist with them. I do not have the silver bullet with me right now. The second thing is on the issue of dairy farmers. I think I spoke at length about the industry, to the extent, and I think it's the Honorable Junet who raised it, that I have to work with the marketing agencies, particularly the cooperative ministry, in order for us to streamline. But for me, there are a couple of things that we can do anyway in agriculture. The first thing is that I said, and to begin with, and perhaps that is what I'll eventually end with, that we have to put money in the farmer's pocket. For example, and I'm referring to coffee because you have raised it, not because, and I grew up there, so I know a little bit more about it. Coffee, for instance, was biggest challenge has always been the gap between the farmer and the market. The fact that you grow coffee and give it to somebody, you have no idea how much you have sold it at. You have no idea who is going to process it. You have no idea where it is going. And sometime in the future, you expect to be paid. There is no such business case that can exist anywhere, whether in farming or in any other areas. And I think that closing that gap and I hope that the coffee bill also being proposed, is that closing the gap between whether it's in sugar, knows a little bit about the market. And I'm glad, Mr. Chairman, because under the current structure, at least my understanding as I speak today, is that corporate getting broking licenses. And as you know, that went to the CMA. They are the ones who are approving that structure, so that the cooperatives themselves can also form part of the marketing team. Private sector does that. If you go and see Sasini tea or Sasini milk, Sasini coffee in the supermarkets, is actually processed by the grower of Sasini. So it is something that we must face in order for it. But the other thing is the productivity per acre. You know, the aspect of the quality, the quantity of produce. Again, even if you look at both coffee and tea sector, if you look at the sugar sector, what you'll find is that the private sector players can produce a ton within, one metric ton can come. They have got a ratio of 10 to 1 for the private sector and 15 to 1 for the government sector, which informs also what Honorable Junet was talking about. So I think that that linkage between efficiency, private sector, the buyers, and the farmer is a solution to our problem. Mr. Chairman, on the issue of Russo talking about, Mheshimiwa talking about, missing is a communication and engagement with that person so that they understand exactly what the stakes are and that choices. So we will never be able to be disease-free at 10%. If we increase that figure over a period of about 3 to 4 years, say for example cover 90% over 3 years, we begin to be FMD disease-free. So my intention is not as it were, to say that I have given people assurance and then kept back, slept on it. It is to make sure that the communication in which we are executing will make sure that the farmer is ready to do what he needs to do to protect his livestock. And I commit myself to that.
That's not what you said earlier.
I said, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman,
Nominee, earlier you said, I will turn up with my vaccine. Do I vaccinate your cow? You say, no, I leave you and move on. And remember,
can I explain?
Just hold on. Just hold on. You are here to answer questions. Yes. You turn up with your vaccine. The farmer says, I'm not interested. You leave the cow and go to the next. Now, the cow you have left behind is bearing a disease that will infect the one that you have vaccinated next door. So is that how you want to run the ministry, or you have vacated that position?
Mr. Chairman, I have not vacated that position. Let me explain. Don't take it too literally. I think that is the problem.
That's what you say.
What I'm saying, Mr. Chairman, is this. I said, and I repeat, nobody is going to be forced. You cannot go and force a farmer with a gun or whatever it is to go there and tell a farmer, you must absolutely vaccinate this cow, or else I'm going to take you to a police station. That is not the way to approach the issue. The choice that I have created, Mr. Chairman, is a choice where you are saying, listen, there is no force of vaccinating your cow. However, if you don't want us to vaccinate it, we can leave it. However, these are the problems that you are going to incur. And that is why I'm saying, Mr. Chairman, nobody with the proper communication is going to make that choice. What you cannot do is go there at gunpoint and tell somebody. You can imagine the kind of fighting you might have with some people with pangas and so on if you try that system. So all I'm saying, Mr. Chairman, and don't take it too literally, is that we will give people a choice, but we'll make sure that they make the right decision.
Mule. The last one from Mule.
I'd ask.
Products
Sorry,
from our
sorry.
neighbors.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Chairman. Yes, on the issue of the East African situation, it's a challenging one, Mheshimiwa Mule, because we have got the East African Protocol, which has given us certain conditions. We have got the COMESA Protocol, which has also given certain conditions. And the only way for us to work on this issue is to make sure that our cost structure is not as high as it is. In other words, if we are putting this, and perhaps what the government has started in terms of subsidizing fertilizers and subsidizing other farm inputs, can assist us in bringing down our cost of production so that our people, the prices of our goods are not, do not exceed those ones of Uganda and Tanzania. We have got quotas. And I think there's a discussion between the East African countries that has got to be done, because don't forget that even as we complain about what they are bringing in, they too are complaining about what we are taking there and the balance of payment issues between the East African nations. So I think eventually it will come to an equilibrium, but I think on our part, on my part, my role and my job is to try and make sure to mitigate the circumstances so that we are producing at an affordable rate where we can both make money for the farmer, but also make sure that the consumer is not advancing for the importation of others because they are cheaper than their own products. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. A few questions from the public.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes,
he didn't answer the second part of my question
which is
on the issue
Of food
of
security.
ASAL.
the ASALs.
Yes.
I think I'd spoken a little bit about that issue of food security and the issue of ASA region. But let me just quickly wrap what I had said. I had said that we need a huge infusion of our research organizations in those areas, particularly the arid and semi-arid areas, because the farming in the area we have got to bring products that are conducive to the climate. The climate won't change. So it is our climate, it is our products that must change to suit the climate. If it is the question of damming, and I said earlier that I would work with the Ministry of Irrigation, the Ministry of Water and Irrigation, to ensure that we are doing more dams that we are. Some county governments have done a fantastic job in terms of creating water ponds, for example, that can be used both for crop as well as livestock support. But I think there is more to be done, and I think that I will work with the county governments that are in place and see where the support that we can give in terms of creating these disease-resistant crops, drought-resistant crops. And I think I'd spoken to that issue a little bit earlier. And you are right. If we don't address, the semi-arid area has to be in the future the main farming area, because it is a larger part of Kenya. But we also have seen countries in the world that are within very dry areas making huge production. I mean, Egypt, we have got Israel, we have got countries around us that we can copy. Australia and so on. So we can do it. It's a question of the political will and the time to do it.
Thank you. Mishi?
Mr. Speaker.
Mishi's question about
Yeah,
the planned crops of the coasts.
Yeah, Chairman.
Coconut, Bixa. Did you answer that?
And Chair, also
Yeah, Chairman,
Yes.
just on the same breath, there is one section of farmers which you have not addressed, and I want to talk about it, to ask the question on the horticultural farming. There is this question, and it is some challenges, especially the stringent international standard which they are facing. The other one is the Ethiopian's fledgling cut flower industry. So how are you going to intervene so that you ensure that our farmers doing horticultural also can benefit from this?
Chair, if we can respond to the issue of the bulk tea at the port of Mombasa. I know it is a serious issue whereby it is holding serious economic background to this country. And we really need very clear directive from him when he takes off the ministry. Because last time we were given 2 months to handle it. It's still there. and
thank
farmers
you.
are suffering.
Nominee?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My understanding, Mheshimiwa, is that, and this is something that I had consulted even with my predecessor on the matter, is that the Munyi-led team has done a substantial amount of work in terms of reducing the quantity that was there lying at the port. I understand there was almost 100,000 metric tons, and right now they are probably talking about some 20 to 30 remaining. That's my understanding from where I sit. So because of the changes that they made in terms of the fixing or the removal of the fixing of the prices, I think that the situation is easing away. But this is something I can only talk about from what I have been informed. This is something I need to be there to see. But I'm aware of it. I am aware. I have been looking privately on my own about what is going on in there. I happen to know the committee people as well. So I'll make sure that I get involved as much as I can. I do not wish to give a week or two because I don't know the intricacies of the issue. But I can guarantee you that I'm going to get into the thick of it as quickly as I can. On the issue of horticultural farming and stringent international standards, yes, it is true that we are facing stringent international standards, but I think the horticultural sector is faced with both local and international hostilities that we can deal with. For example, the exports, on the export side, that's one of the areas that I know they have been complaining about. It has been there, is common knowledge in the newspapers, talking about the many small taxes and deductions and all these things that they have to do. And that's what I refer to as supporting. We need to support them, remove some of those things, export more, and then you can tax on the income taxes and you recover your money through the volumes, not through the initial prohibitive taxes. And of course, on the issue of the international trading space, within the World Trade Organization and other organizations, I think that working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and of course trade is a question of ensuring that the conditions that we are getting from particularly the European Union, because that is where most of these products are going, and also diversifying our market so that we don't depend only on Europe. I think there are various other markets that we have not critically looked at that we can, to make sure that we become competitive. Part of the reason why our competitors can fix us and give us stringent measures is because they know you don't have a choice. But when they know that you have a choice and you can deny them those beans, they will listen to what you are saying.
Yes, thank you. Europe has now given us quota-free, duty-free.
Yeah.
So it's now for you, if you are approved, to ensure that standards are maintained.
Thank you, sir.
Some Kenyan has sent this question. How do you plan to promote and expand feedlot farming in Kenya as a strategy to improve animal productivity? Another one. How do you plan to address productivity limitations, enhance Kenya's food security, and prepare the agricultural sector to meet the rising demand for diverse food products, such as fish, dairy, and meat? And the last one is, you've not told the House what you have ever given back to Kenya as a Kenyan.
Thank you, sir. I think I'll start with the last one to say that, you know, Mr. Chairman, as an elected member of Parliament and as a parliamentarian in public service, all you do, and I'm sure the honorable members around me will agree, is give and give and give. I think that is something that we can all agree in this house. Every single day. You are giving back every single day of your life when you work for the public, and you do so legitimately and honestly. All you are doing is giving back to the community. And I do give back, and I think I have something to give back. And it is the public also that has created us, has created me through the education, through the jobs I have had, it is the public. So we do need to give back. But I put it to the questioner that we do it every single day. Mr. Chairman, on the issue of promoting the feedlot, to the question that the honorable member had asked about the dry areas. The feedlot is one of the key solutions to that issue, because syrages, hay storages, these are some of the measures that we have to be able to take in order for us to have that storage, warehousing those things, so that during a dry season, we have got at least some measure of mitigation before the rains come again. And as I said, this is something that we need to work with the county governments. Even as we talk about food security for the human beings, we also ought to talk about food security for livestock, because livestock is also part of food security. So if we had that issue of feedlot, and we say to ourselves as county governments, backed by the national government, that anytime there is, like now, when the hay is available all over the country, let's make sure that we stock up enough for a rainy day, even as we stock up, you know, for the people who own the livestock, because sometimes their livelihoods depend are the same. On the issue of diverse food products, yes, I agree that it is time to look at even going back to some traditional crops like sorghum that we used to grow, millet that we used to have. But this is happening almost automatically because the current consumer is also becoming very aware and health conscious. So that 10 years ago, there was very little demand for millet and soya and so on. Today, that is something that is growing, and if you go to the supermarkets, it's happening. But we must also remember that urbanization and lifestyle changes are also going to create different demands that have not been there. For example, rice, the demand for rice is the fastest growing in the country. Why? Because of lifestyles, because people in urban areas can cook rice a lot faster, that they can cook other foodstuffs. So we have got to adjust the farming issues in a holistic way. We have got to look at farming holistically, relating it to changing lifestyles and changing needs and consumer behavior in the country.
Thank you. We're coming to an end of our engagement with you. There is a long affidavit sent by Mr. Aura. Members have had the opportunity to look, because we shared that with the nominee. I've had an opportunity to look at your response, and I find the same substantially satisfactory. I'll now ask you a few mundane questions. What is your net worth in terms of wealth?
Mr. Chairman, my net worth currently would be around 800, I want to get the exact figure, 800 and, about 842 million shillings.
Made of?
Made up of essentially my wealth is in assets, is in real estate, is in pieces of land here and there accumulated over many years.
Have you ever been convicted?
No, sir, I have never been convicted.
Of a criminal offense in a court of law?
No, sir, not once.
Have you ever been adversely mentioned in a parliamentary committee?
No, sir, not to my knowledge.
Do you hold an office in a political party?
No, I do not.
Have you ever been dismissed from office or removed from office on account of contravention of Article 75 of the Constitution?
No, sir.
Have you ever been associated with practices that depict bias, favoritism, tribalism, nepotism in the discharge of public duty?
No, sir.
I'll now give you 2 minutes to make your concluding remarks to this committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I wish to take this opportunity to thank the committee for a very engaging debate on this matter. And I want to assure the committee that going forward, I look forward to working with you, collaborating with you in this House, because half of the work that we are going to do, or a fair percentage of the work that we do, is collaborating with the members of the National Assembly and members of the Senate. I want to assure you that some of the issues that we have raised are issues that we are going to look at, we are going to study, we are going to execute. I have no intentions of wasting 2 years. That is a period that I have, and I will do my utmost not only to set the ministry on the right path, but also to address some of the challenges that have been bedeviling the ministry over a long period of time. I thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your indulgence.
Thank you very much. Unless you are lawfully held, you are now released to go to your other duties.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.